Hi class, welcome to week 5 of COMM 313. Before we dive into our lecture today, I want to take a look at our syllabus and go over what we have coming up this week and over the next couple of weeks. So for week 5 this week, we are going to be reviewing chapters 6 and 7, and you're going to have your first discussion form to complete. Please make sure to read the directions for the discussion form, which we will go over now, which you will have your main post due by Sunday and your responses due by Wednesday evening. Next week, we will go over our individual project that you have to complete, along with chapter 8 and 9 with our quiz 2, which is going to be followed by a mid-semester break. Please keep in mind you do have the time of the mid-semester break to complete quiz 2. It's due on October 16th, which is going to be Wednesday night before week 8 starting on the 17th on Thursday. So keep that in mind. You can complete quiz 2 during our mid-semester break. All right, let's take a look at our week 5 content. So if you scroll here, you're going to see a couple different items under our additional items for the week. But before we click on these, I do want to let you know here are the items to complete for this week. Watch our video lecture, read chapter 6 and 7, and complete the discussion form assignment. Now you could click on this link down here to go to discussion form number 1, week 5. Or if you would like, you can actually click on the forms link here on the left, and it will take you to this landing page. So you could click here on the Forms tab, or if you are in our Weekly tab for our weekly lessons, you could click on this link as well. I like providing that link there on our Lessons tab just to kind of make it easy for you to access. Then click on View Full Description, and this will give you the directions on what you need to complete. So for your discussion form number 1, it's worth 25 points. You will post a total of 3 times for this week's discussion. Please consider the feelings of others. Be respectful when you're posting. If there's something you disagree with, it's fine. Just do so in a respectful manner and provide reasoning. There's zero tolerance for any kind of foul language, flaming, or putting others down in a negative way. Any sign of this will result in an automatic 0 for this assignment, and the post will be removed and reported. So here's what you need to complete. You have one main post, which is due by Sunday, 11:55 p.m., and you have 2 responses, which are due by the end of the week. The main post is worth 15 points. The 2 responses are worth 5 points each, for a total of 25 points. So for your main post, select one of the article links below from the Harvard Business Review. If you click on each one of these links, you will see that the articles will pop up. So there are 3 different articles. You only have to select read one for your main discussion post. After reading one of the articles, discuss what you liked about the article and whether you agree or disagree with all or some of the points which were made. Please make sure to explain your answer in detail. This is your main post you must complete. Your answer should be substantive in length, meaning you should provide details and reasoning in your answer, which is going to be a minimum of 200 words. You can use reasoning, examples, or anything else you think that would be helpful in your answer. If you post after the main post deadline of Sunday, you will receive a late point deduction. So if it is Monday or Tuesday or even Wednesday, just go ahead and still post it, but you will receive a late point deduction from the 15 total points. Then you'll need to complete 2 responses, which are due by Wednesday. In addition, you must respond to at least 2 other posts in a discussion board. These responses could be replies to main posts written by your classmates or a reply post written by your classmates. Each response you write will count as one of the 2 response posts required. In your reply, you can discuss whether you agree or disagree with the post and why, ask further questions to expand on the conversation, or provide personal experience, outside sources to the conversation. Each one of your 2 responses should be at least 150 words. So let's go ahead and minimize the information here. So once you post your main post, you're going to click on Start a New Conversation. Go ahead and put a title. So let's say you are discussing implementing a stakeholder strategy and you've read this article. Go ahead and write a title for your main post. It can be, anything you would want to be. It doesn't have to be anything creative. You can even put main post, implementing a stakeholder strategy, or you can even put main post, my response to the article, whatever you would like to do. You can go ahead and post it here, and then you would put example content here. So you will need at least 200 words minimum here for your main post. Once you are done, you will click on main post, and you will see your post here. And once everybody starts a new conversation to post their main post, you'll see a long list of main posts here. So now, responding to two of the main posts, you could click on a main post. Let's say you want to respond to this one. You could click reply, and here is reply post example. And you would click post. And now you will see the main post content here along with the reply post here. So now you've posted your main post, you responded to one. Don't respond to your own, please. You won't get credit. You need to respond to two of your classmates. So if you click on discussion forums from the beginning, you click on discussion forum 1, you're going to see the main post here along with all the responses here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this for now. So again, click on start a new conversation to go ahead and begin your main post here. All right. So now I would like to go over chapters 6 and 7. Keep in mind, again, I am using content from a previously recorded lecture from a previous semester. So all the information moving forward, if you hear anything about dates or due dates that I talk about in the actual lecture itself, please just go ahead and disregard. Everything is going to be according to the syllabus moving forward. So let's go ahead and talk about chapter 6 and 7. So we'll look in this chapter, we're going to talk a little bit about communication strategy and planning. We're going to talk about the process of strategy making and corporate communication, the content of communication strategy, planning and managing strategic communication programs and campaigns, how campaigns may persuade stakeholders into supportive behaviors towards the organization. Just keep in mind, you're going to see a few misspelled words. That's because these slides were created in, I believe it was in England, and with English language using in England or the English language being used in America, you're going to have different ways of spelling certain things. It's almost like the word gray. In America, I believe the most popular way of spelling it is with an A, Gray, and in England it's with an E, Grey, which it's the same word, same meaning, but spelling is going to be a little bit different. So the process of communication strategy. So communication strategies involve bringing stakeholder reputations in line with the vision of the organization. So understanding what the vision of the organization is going to be extremely important. And usually this is something that's created when the organization is first open. So bringing the stakeholders' reputations in line with it is going to be important and critical to the success of the organization, because it's going to show that the stakeholders are in line with what the company believes. Reinforcing existing reputations of stakeholders if broadly in line with how the organization wants itself to be seen. So you have a strategic intent. This suggests a set of communication tactics and activities that aim to affect awareness, knowledge, reputation, behavior of important stakeholders. With however way you decide to communicate this, these are a set of communication tactics that really try to aim to affect what the organization is doing, whether it's awareness or knowledge about the organization or even reputation, and you put it in line with your stakeholders. That way, moving forward, everything is parallel your intent of what you want to do, and this is known as your strategic intent. So the process of the communication strategy. So paradigms on the process of strategy making. So you have your rational planning mode, your intuitive or visionary, and then your incremental or emergent. So let's take a look at these. So here you have your strategy formation, and here are the different characteristics that you have. Maybe one strategy you want to use is analytical, based on analytical data on how the company has been performing, which is fine. Maybe you want to go with, something that's going to be a little bit more qualitative on the other end of the spectrum, and it's going to be more visionary, where the company plans to go, and, your strategy is going to based on the vision of the company. So strategy formation. So strategy formation consists of a combination of plan and emergent processes. And strategy involves a general direction and not simply plans or tactics. So it's the general direction of where the organization is going or where it wants to head. And of course, strategy is about the organization and its environment. The strategy should reflect what the organization is about, whether it's the vision or mission, where the organization is going, and so on. So the link between corporate strategy and communication strategy. So with a communication strategy, when you're looking at corporate strategy, you're actually being more informative. If the corporate strategy is looking more towards the communication strategy, that's going to be kind of like translating it into a sense where the stakeholders will better understand. So the content of communication strategy starts from an organization-wide assessment of the organization's reputation in the light of its vision of a particular point in time. Um, and if you look at the reputation vision gap that your book discusses, this forms the basis for the formulation of a strategic intent. It will better help you understand which way the company should move and where it should go. You have your communicators, you have a technician, you have a manager. Make sure you have a good understanding of what these are. You should have a good understanding since you have read the book, but I don't want to go into too much detail on that slide. But I do want to talk about the strategic messaging. So, organization wide assessment of how organization is seen by stakeholders is a reputation in light of the organization's vision. So, remember, the way that the stakeholders view your organization, this is known as the reputation. And whether it's internal or external stakeholders, you may have two different reputations based on how each one views the organization. The gap is the basis of strategic intent, which is a change or consolidation in a company's reputation that is intended. And your stages in formulating the content of a communication strategy. So first you have a strategic intent. What is it that you're planning on doing? This is where you really strategize. Then you have your theme, the message, what kind of message you're going to write, and then of course the style, how you're going to communicate that. Is it informative? Is it persuasive? What is the style that you're looking to component? Then you have your alternative message styles. Um, we won't go into too much detail of this, but have a good understanding of where each one goes and what it means. Planning programs and campaigns. So you have a communication program and communication campaign. So a program is a formulated set of activities towards targeted internal and external audiences. This is something that might include maybe an outreach activity that the organization is doing to get to know the community better, and trying to really be involved. Then you have a campaign, which is restricted to the use of a mediated form of communication, such as mass media advertising, and this is towards specific stakeholder audiences and is restricted to a single point in time. Maybe your campaign is being advertised in a certain place. This is your communication campaign. So your step one, your strategic intent, this formulates a change and is based upon the gap with how the organization wants to be seen by important stakeholder groups and how it is currently being seen by each of these groups. So in your strategic intent, maybe your current organization is not being seen well by the public. Let's say your customers, which are external stakeholders. So what are some things that you're going to do in order to change that, and how do you want to be seen? And that's where you need to go. And so you can see here, you have your vision and your reputation. So this is what stakeholders think of you. This is where you want to go. You create a strategic intent. You define the objectives, identify the audiences, identify the theme messages, develop your message styles and your media strategy styles, and prepare the budget. Step two, define communication objectives. So it's important to know what your objectives are, so this way you know which route you need to go to. So appeal to stakeholders with a particular message so that they react favorably to it and change or consolidate specific support behavior towards the organization. So you have the acronym SMART, where you're specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. And one of the keywords in there, measurable, is an important one because you need to be able to measure to see what's happening, to see if you are successful with what it is that you're trying to do. And then step 3, identify and prioritize target audiences. Figure out what your target audience is that you want to go towards. And then here we have, again, our stakeholder salience model, where we have power, urgency, and legitimacy. And this is where your definitive stakeholder is, where all 3 of these meet. And then you have your power interest matrix. So this is your power, whether it's low or high. Um, Here we have your minimal effort. These are people who are not going to put in too much effort. And the people, if you have a high power, these are the people that you want to keep satisfied. And the further you go on the spectrum, you can see these are your key players. These are stakeholders that are always in the organization that you want to keep satisfied, that are important as well. Step 4, identify theme messages. Decide on your core message of what you actually want to write. And then what kind of message style are you using? And there, use one of the 5 message styles that your book discusses, and you can use multiple message styles simultaneously if you want. Step 6, develop a media strategy. Identify the most effective and efficient means of reaching the target audiences within the given budgetary constraints, whether it's social media, an email blast, or even sending letters to homes, whatever it may be. Creating that is important. And if last but not least, prepare the budget, which is step 7. So most of the budget will be spent on media buying, but it's always good to see how much you're spending, what you're going to actually spend moving forward. All right, let's go ahead and talk about chapter 7. So chapter 7, research and measurement. So this is an important chapter because this is what is going to help you better understand if what you're doing is working, because you are measuring your results, you are looking into research to see what works best, and so on. So research and measurement is a cornerstone of professional corporate communication. Several organizations use research and measurement to see what is working, what can be improved, and so on. Even what's not working, so that way it can be improved. So we're going to look into the practical issues around research and measurement and standardized methods for measuring corporate reputations and corporate identity. So keep in mind, research can improve a value given to campaigns by senior management. And you do have informal research, and this is more casual interactions with key stakeholders or experts. This helps develop a better understanding of problems and forming a communication program. Then you have formal research. These are something that are systematic data gathering methods, such as a focus group, a survey, or even content analysis. And this chart shows here, your research and evaluation with communication campaigns, the 5 steps. So please make sure you have a good understanding of these different 5 steps. So the research and evaluation cycle, so there's a benefit of seeing research and evaluation as a cycle. You kind of see what's working, what's not working. And of course, of crucial importance is measuring the impact level of communications. How impactful is this coming across? So before we go into too much detail, let's look at what a corporate reputation is. This is the subject's collective representation of past images of an organization established over time. And you have 2 broad types of reputation research, publicly syndicated rankings and company-specific reputation research. So here you can see, to measure corporate reputation, this is kind of how you would do it. And this will kind of give you an idea of the method and sample as well. So, go over this chart, have a good understanding with the same thing with the next chart as well, which shows the different types of qualitative methods that you can use, and the different techniques to have a qualitative corporate reputation research method as well here. And then here are a couple more quantitative. So you could see quantitative is more on a scale where you're getting definitive numbers, where qualitative is, you might be asking more questions than anything. And so here you could see the corporate reputation of 2 companies compared. You could kind of see where they go and how they move back and forth. Your organizational identity research methods as well. So there's a lot that they talk about here, and there's even more as well listed, but here are just a few. You don't have to have all these memorized, but have a good understanding of what they mean and what they are. And of course, the stages of evaluation, where you prepare, you implement, and you impact. And you could see the different steps here as well too. So go over this chart, have a good understanding. Again, nothing that needs to be memorized. Theories on effective messages and persuasion. So you have your target messages, You set reasonable goals and objectives that are achievable. You don't always want to overshoot to try to do something that is almost going to look impossible, because if you don't reach that goal, not only is it going to look as something that didn't work, but it's something that you might get a little bit more down on. But set realistic goals when you are moving forward. And here we have our hierarchy effects model. And finally, alternatives to the hierarchy effects theory. You have framing. You assume that the message consists of the activation of an overall frame in terms of certain keywords and formulations. How are you going to frame your message? What is it that you're actually going to write about? And is this something that the stakeholders are going to approve on? All right, guys, that concludes our content for week 5. Again, please make sure to complete your discussion form number 1, week 5. Get your main post in by Sunday and your response in by Wednesday, which is the end of week 5. Feel free to reach out to me if you guys have any questions. I wish you all the best of luck this week. Thanks, guys.